Welcome to Miniature Realms, my name's Stuart. Let's talk about Battle March, the small game variant for Warhammer the Old World.
Miniature Realms is proudly sponsored by Counter-Attack Bases. They stock a wide range of counters, gaming aids and movement trays for multiple game systems, and offer custom items to suit your club, your event, or even your podcast or YouTube channel. Check out the link in the video description.
Way back before the summer, Games Workshop released 3 free scenarios for Warhammer the Old World. They were part of an open day celebration at Warhammer World, and they escalated inside and had some narrative elements to them. The smallest was Seize the Tower, and within that there was a game mode for playing 500-point games of Warhammer. With the release of the latest Arcane Journal, The War of Sentra's Fury, which Games Workshop had very kindly given me some early access to, we saw the launch of Battle March, which is basically a reskinned version of the rules found within that Seize the Tower scenario. There's a few adjustments to it as well. It's fleshed out a little bit, and I think we've got a nice little set of rules to play with. Back at the time, there was quite a bit of excitement about it. I made some content on it. Lots of other people did as well. Rob from the Squarebase channel and the Honest Wargamer used the rules in it as well to put into his own foray pack, and that's been out and quite widely talked about. But with all the excitement of the new Tomb King's rules, the Slayer host and the Renegade crowns, this time round there's not been too much talk about it, so I thought it was about time I made a little bit of a video on it. At its core, it's not really changed much from the basic outline in the Seize the Tower, and I've been playing this format with my son throughout the year. It's been fun to play some small games of Warhammer. It makes it really manageable, and I'll come back to that at the end with my conclusions. As I've already alluded to, not everything's changed. The basic army construction is pretty much the same. There's a few wording changes which were needed because rather than it being just 500 points, it's now 500 to 750 points. We have a minimum of 2 units rather than the 3 that is regular for games of Warhammer the Old World, and that minimum can include war machines but not include units whose troop type is swarms or war beasts. Character limitations: up to 25% of your army's total points value on a single character, and then unit limitations: up to 35% of your army's total points value on a single core unit, up to 30% of your army's total points value on a single special unit, and up to 25% of your army's total points value on a single rare or mercenary unit. To me, those limitations seem pretty logical and fairly balanced down. It's really nice to see mercenary units being allowed rather than just cutting them out. There's no allies, but you've got such a small amount of points to deal with. I can understand why you would just leave that out. In fact, it does talk about you being able to use this construction, army construction that is, as a way of creating your own allied army for larger games of Warhammer the Old World, should you wish to. So you could use it as a restriction or format for creating your allied armies, which I think is quite cool as well. And you're also allowed to take items that would normally be restricted to 1 per 1,000 points. You can make 1 of those such choices. Obviously the game is not going to get to that size, but it does mean that some of those units would normally be restricted even if the points value is quite low, so you can still take them. After this, the rules are expanded a little bit from what was in the previous scenario, because that was just a single scenario for you to play, whereas this is a game format, almost a system in itself. The game board is still the 44 by 30 inch, which is one of the standard Games Workshop sizes, I think, now. So if you've got some of those AOS boards that maybe don't have all the things printed over them, I think one of those or maybe 2 of those would match up as the right thing. You can also buy lots of neoprene mats for this particular size. I've bought some myself recently because it's just nice to have this size mat for playing these kind of games, and it also fits on my dining table as well. So at the weekend when I'm at home with my boys and my youngest is playing with his toys or on his Switch or something, and my eldest wants to play a game of Battle March now, and we can stick it on the dining table and don't have to come up to the office here to play, which is a long way away from my youngest son, which isn't the best parenting. The first of the major changes is the influence of the match play guide and the way the scenarios work in there. And we've seen the introduction of battlefield objectives, and there are a couple of deployment maps for where you deploy your objectives, and you can see where you space them out to, and obviously all those rules are in the match play guide, but they're also repeated to a certain extent here, or at least tell you where to go and find the rules for them. And just like the way they're layered in the match play guide with those objectives first, you then have set deployment maps as well, and there are 3 provided for Battle March, and you can roll a d6 if you want to randomize it. I know a lot of people will just pick them themselves, but you've got pitch battle, close encounter, and opposed flanks, and if you roll is 1 to 2 for pitch battle, 3 to 4 for close encounter, or 5 to 6 for exposed flanks. Deployment there is pretty straightforward, and there is a note that players can, if they wish, switch over the maps of close encounter and opposed flanks. It basically mirror them, so that you're deploying on the opposite corners of the board depending on how the terrain is laid out. The first turn is dealt with after deployment as usual with a roll off, and then the game length for Battle March lasts for 5 rounds. There's also some adjustment and additions to the victory conditions that weren't previously needed with that single scenario, and we have dead or fled added now, which wasn't there before as well, and each enemy unit has been destroyed or has fled off the battlefield is worth a number of victory points equal to 100% of its points cost. So already things that we are familiar with from the main games. You get 50% of the victory points for fleeing units, and then victory points again for units reduced below 25% of their strength. The king is dead, and trophies of war exist the same way as they do in the previous scenario and in the rulebook. And we also have the addition now of the battlefield objectives, which weren't in the original free scenario. And for each battlefield objective a player controls at the end of each player's turn, they win a bonus of 10 victory points, and it tells you there how you must control your battlefield objectives. And there's a unit strength of 5 or more, which is less than in the main game, and that reflects the smaller size of the battles. And in terms of rules, that's it. They've expanded the free scenario of 2 pages up to 4 pages with the addition of all those little elements from the match play guide. And I'm pretty certain that when they released it as a free scenario, they already had this planned out and written, and they were just using a little bit of it, which I think is quite funny. If you think back, the match play guide was rumoured many months, probably 12 months before it actually came out. People were talking about it, probably even back before this free scenario was released. So I'm sure that this was planned as a document. Maybe they didn't know which book it would go in, but it's cool to finally see it. And could you have made these changes yourself? Absolutely. I'm sure people have been out there. I've definitely been running little objectives in my games, but it's nice to see an official kind of document within a wider book where people can take away and run events from now if they want to, or just play casually at home. And I think it's got legs in all kinds of use. You could turn it into a match play event if you want to, and run multiple rounds in one day. Now, I don't know what those adjustments made to the percentages of things that you can take due to the balance and the meta of a game, what factions are good at this points level versus another, and I'm pretty sure that that's not really been stress tested. That's not the point of this. I get the feeling that the point of this is a fun, relaxed way of playing the game, and a way that's accessible for newer people that maybe haven't tried the game before, or just want to play at the smaller game size where they're collecting and painting their miniatures. I'm sure many of us have been part of escalations at your local club before, when you're all collecting with a new edition or a new game together and building your forces up slowly, and it's just a way of getting people to paint and to play games and keep that momentum going, which is so often important when you've got such a big amount of miniatures to paint them. You could definitely use it like this. You could also use it in conjunction with wider campaigns as well. Maybe your smaller Battle March game might lead to capturing an objective, which then leads into what happens in a bigger game. So you have linked campaigns and scenarios as well, which is cool. The possibilities are really endless. As a parent, I found it really invaluable in getting my 10-year-old to play, because he's really interested in Warhammer, the old world. He's really interested in the stuff I'm excited in, and the miniatures and the lore, the bits he's learnt of it anyway. But it is hard trying to get him to play a 2,000 point game. He wants to, but I'm essentially playing myself. because it's so much to think about, there's so much to do, and it's just hard. It's hard on both of us until he gets old enough that his brain clicks with it. But at this smaller game size, with the smaller units and less things going on the table, it's much easier for him to play the game on his own and make his own choices, less special rules to worry about, less units on the table, and less big magic spells and magic items and things going around. There's no limits in this for what you can take without, apart from the caps on your character size, but I recommend maybe looking at certain magic items and limiting them. Maybe just put a blanket on anything more than 20 points you can't take, maybe even lower, or just banning them all together and going sort of a basic version of the game. But they're all decisions to make for yourself, and what you choose to do there will vary on the context that you're playing the game. If you're running a one-day event at your local club and people are buying tickets, you might want to put some restrictions in place, because people will take harder things than others, because we all see the game in a different way. If you're playing at home like I am with a child, then you're going to make decisions that hopefully balance the game out, and I will quite often let my son break the rules on certain things because it gives me a bit more of a challenge. One of the things will be he likes to play his trolls at the moment, so a mini troll horde list. You couldn't theoretically do that based on the restrictions here, because you could never get the hag in, but at 750 points we could probably break some rules and bend some rules so that he can do a mini version of the troll horde list and have some fun. And you should do that. You should change these rules to match what you want to do for the games you want to play. I think the future is bright with Battle March, and I think we're going to see more and more from the community with it. One of my patrons, Matt, runs events for it at the Darkfire Cafe, and I know his latest event is running the weekend that this video will be going out, so a little bit late notice for that, but it's worth keeping an eye on the Darkfire Cafe in the UK for future events that he does, and come and join the Miniature Realms Discord and chat with him on there, and look out for future events being posted. But also, people are going to use it in other ways. I know Max over at Barefoot Miniatures runs campaigns and does videos on his channel to do with it, and also another one of my patrons, Mark, has been running his own narrative campaign, which is interwoven with loads of other things. He's using the format amongst a whole map campaign with elements of Mordheim and NPCs and a whole host of other stuff. So much so that it would take up a whole video just to explain it all. But again, it looks fantastic. Head over to my Discord again and watch out for these people running these really, really cool things using these new formats. I think what this all goes to show is there are endless possibilities for this, be that adding in some rules from Mordheim to add some fun narrative elements to it, or maybe steal some of the ideas from one of the scenarios there, which is something I've definitely been looking at. The same with Warhammer Skirmish as well. There's lots of cool scenarios which you can find now very, very easily online for old publications. Loads of really nice little scenarios that you can incorporate into your games of Battle March, rather than just relying on the ones in those 4 pages. You can really add big narrative elements to it, saving baggage and things, taking things off a board, escaping, finding things, and make it more and more narrative if you want to. But if you want to just play it as more of that sort of straight up match play kind of version, those rules exist there as well. And as I've already mentioned, and you've seen images throughout this video, you can get the right size mats for this as well and really turn it into a little thing and add a little bit more terrain maybe than you would normally, even if it's just around the edges of the board, so it doesn't get in the way of play too much, or use the smaller terrain that's under 2 inches so that it basically just gets moved out of the way when you need it to, so at least the table looks good and dressed in the right way. One of the tips I'd give you, at least when you're starting with newer players, is to go quite small on the unit sizes. It's definitely not something I started with. I was taking my 2,000 point armies and picking a unit or two and maybe taking a few items off them, but really reducing your unit sizes down so you actually get maybe 4 units on the table rather than 2 bigger ones can be really fun as well. They're a little bit more fragile, and it means you get a little bit more tactical movement on the board rather than just having 2 units bashing against 2 units, which can be a little bit boring as well. So be flexible with it and trying to bring your unit sizes down, so maybe it's 10-15 miniatures rather than 20-25 can make a big difference there. I also love that it means you could start an army that you maybe don't want to take all the way up to 2,000 points, collect a small force or something that you've always wanted to do but just don't have the time or the money maybe to go big with them. So you can collect a few units and get a few miniatures together. So loads and loads of fun. But the possibilities and the positives for this are pretty endless. And I don't think there are any negatives to it really. If you don't like the format, you just don't have to play it. It doesn't replace anything that's already there in Warhammer the Old World. So go out there, give it a go. Let me know what you think of it in the comments. Are you excited to play it? Are you going to collect a new army just for this? Are you going to collect forces from your existing armies and try lots of different things out? Let me know what you're doing with it. Are you going to run campaigns? Are you going to run events? Are you going to link them to your bigger games? Really, really excited to hear what you're all doing with this format. So if you have enjoyed the video, please do give it a like and drop those comments below. It really, really helps the video be seen by other people. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. And do remember with your YouTube subscriptions, to check out your subscriptions tab once in a while. The new algorithm doesn't tend to place many of the channels that you subscribe to on your home screen anymore. So you miss out on stuff. I know I've been missing out on stuff from some of my favorite channels because it's just not showing me it. It's showing me other stuff that I've never even seen before. It just thinks I want to watch. If you'd like to support me even more, please do check out my Patreon. It is the very best way of supporting me financially to keep making videos like this. And there's lots of other affiliate links in there as well. Warhammer merch store now gives me a little kickback if you order through that affiliate link. And please do check out the channel sponsor, Counterattack Bases. But thank you very much for watching. Take care, and I'll catch you soon.